Welcome to this session on performing troubleshooting and remedies for fuel meter and fuel gauge units. By the end of this exercise, you will be able to identify and trace out the defects in the fuel meter and gauge circuit.
Tools and equipment required: trainees toolkit, multimeter, a vehicle in running condition, cotton waste, soap oil, fuel gauge, wire and fuel tank unit as required. Now let us have a look at some of the common issues and solutions for the vehicle signal light and hazard warning light. A fuel gauge is an important component in a vehicle, responsible for providing real-time information about the level of fuel in the tank. It comprises a sensing or sending unit responsible for gauging the fuel quantity. The sending unit within the fuel tank is connected to the gauge, and through the signals transmitted by the sending unit, the gauge displays the current fuel level in the tank. There are different types of fuel gauges. They are microprocessor controlled gauges, thermostatic fuel gauges with self-regulation, and thermostatic fuel gauges with external regulation. When troubleshooting issues with the fuel gauge, several factors may contribute to inaccuracy or failures. Let's have a look at those. If the float inside the fuel tank is damaged, it can result in inaccurate readings. The float is a buoyant device that moves with the fuel level, and damage to it can compromise its ability to accurately measure the fuel level. In such cases, replacing the damaged float is necessary for precise readings. Checking the wires is another crucial step. If the wires connecting the fuel gauge to the sensor or other components are broken, it can disturb the flow of electrical signals and lead to faulty readings. Repairing or replacing the broken wires ensures a stable electrical connection and proper communication within the system. An empty fuel tank seems like an obvious issue, but it's important to mention it as a reminder. If the fuel tank is indeed empty, filling it up is the straightforward solution to address the low fuel level indicated by the gauge. The sensor sending unit in the fuel tank is crucial for precise measurements, and if it malfunctions, it can lead to inaccurate readings. In such cases, replace the damaged sending unit. Issues with resistance can also affect the accuracy of the fuel gauge. The resistance in the fuel gauge circuit needs to be within the specified range for precise readings. If there is an issue with the resistance, just replace it. The gauge itself might be the source of the problem. If the gauge is broken or malfunctioning, it cannot accurately display the fuel level. In such cases, replacing the entire gauge unit is necessary to restore proper functionality. Loose connections may result in sporadic gauge failures or unpredictable readings. So, it is essential to secure the wire connections in the gauge to maintain a dependable electrical link. If the float inside the tank is sticking, it can cause the gauge to get stuck at a certain fuel level. This issue can be resolved by replacing the sticking float with a properly functioning one. Checking and fixing any damaged ground wires in the tank is essential for maintaining proper electrical ground. A damaged ground can lead to electrical issues and impact the overall performance of the fuel gauge system. If the float is moving oddly or erratically, it can be indicative of a problem with the float mechanism. This issue may require either repairing the float mechanism or replacing it with a new one to ensure smooth and accurate movement. A deformed bimetal element or non-functioning heat wire can impact the performance of the thermostat fuel gauge. In such cases, replace the deformed element or the faulty heat wire is necessary to restore the proper functioning of the gauge.
Let us recap this topic. In this topic, you have learned that if the float inside the tank is damaged, it is essential to replace it to ensure accurate fuel level measurements. A broken gauge mandates replacement to restore accurate fuel level display. Tightening wire connection in the gauge is crucial for optimal performance. In the case of an empty tank, the immediate remedy is to fill it up. If the sensor in the tank fails, replacement becomes necessary for reliable fuel level reading. Hope you have a clear understanding of this. Do this exercise with the help of your instructor. Thank you.